So I want to start talking about what can we do proactively when it comes to self-protection. So this is a bit of review from our previous classes. So if you weren't able to make those, definitely go back and watch the replays. So number one is practice your personal awareness. So checking in with yourself and your body regularly. Recognize how you're feeling, what boundaries you're comfortable with. And then we talked about those stress responses. So noticing how you personally respond to stress and what types of stresses. So we talked about those 5 F's, right? We have fight, flight, freeze, flop, and fawn. So noticing how you are interacting with your own internal environment within yourself and with your environment. Because awareness breeds awareness, right? So if we practice being aware within ourselves, that is going to trickle out and help us stay safe and comfortable. We also want to practice, and this is again still the proactive things that you can do, being able to click into a relaxation response during a stressful situation. So this is very much what athletes do, what Olympic athletes do, right? Competition is stressful, pressure is high, and they're able to zone in and focus and stay grounded and calm so that they can perform their best. So the breathing exercises that Connie and Megan talked about, having a word that you associate with calm, with breathing, whether I think we use the word one, whatever word you chose, pretty soon you'll be able to, Pavlov yourself into having that one word snap you into that response. This, you can also use, it's not just breathing that works for this. A lot of times smell can work with this too. Like if you have a particular scent that can calm you, then when you smell that scent again, then it'll calm you. So you can play around with what techniques work for you to make sure that if you're in a stressful situation, you can pretty quickly regulate yourself. The third thing would be to practice situational awareness. So this is bringing our awareness a little bit more outside of ourselves into our external environment. Making a plan when you enter a new space, right? And this doesn't mean that you have to be on guard all the time, but just noticing like, okay, who is in here? Where are the exits? How am I feeling? What's the energy like? That sort of thing. Number 4 would be to make sure you have a plan for emergency numbers and apps and things like that. So setting up your phone. I personally do a location sharing with my husband, so he can always check to see where my phone is and vice versa. So that way if something's up, then we can just check and see where the other person is. So you might want to do that with your partner, with friends, do a location, find my friends sort of thing. That can be really helpful. And then having any, another thing that I find really important is having a person like that you tell where you're going, right? So every time my friend takes an Uber from our house to her house, she always texts me when she's home so that I know. So having those plans. And then also deciding if you want to carry any personal protection devices, if that's right for you. In the evening session, Galena is going to go over more the personal protective devices and how to use them, what to choose and all of that. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to catch at least that section in the evening, or you can watch the replay. And then the 5th proactive thing that you can practice is stuff like this, right? You can take martial arts classes either here at ENSO or somewhere else near you. Just practicing those more physical responses so that you not only have the tools if you need them, but you are practiced in using them. Yeah. Any questions before we move on to the next section? Awesome. All right, so now I want to talk about the phases of self-protection, and we're gonna go into kind of acting out some scenarios later. So I'm just gonna go through the steps and give some brief examples, but if you have questions, definitely put them in the chat. So number one, we have our base level. We have our awareness. So be aware, paying attention to yourself, to others, to the environment, noticing those little shifts in yourself, right? Of like, oh, my posture has suddenly changed and I'm hunched over. That might mean that I don't feel that comfortable. Or, oh, all of a sudden I'm just talking really fast. Maybe I'm not that comfortable. Or, oh, it's pretty chill in here. The vibes are good. You know, that sort of thing. Be curious, right? Practice that kind of childlike curiosity. That is going to help you have a little more unbiased relationship with what's going on if we are curious and just seeing what we notice versus looking out for things. And then practice, rehearsing things in your head, making a plan. That's all really good. So then step two, if there's, some sort of initial contact or going into situational awareness, trust yourself. Trust your instincts. We talked about how your body is an information sensing machine. And so listen to that, right? A lot of times your body knows more than you do. So listen to your body. Notice your emotions, but let this inform you, right? We can make a choice after that. Once we have this information, we can make an informed decision, and maybe that's immediate, right? But what we're feeling, our instincts and things like that, they don't need to control us. We can still be kind of in control of the situation, but trust yourself. The next part of that is kind of the psychology of self-protection. How do you carry yourself? What might discourage or encourage something to happen? Unfortunately, there's not like a set of rules that like, if you act this way, this way, this way, this way, then you're totally fine and nothing will ever happen. This needs to be in the context of your situational awareness so that you can decide kind of what sort of things can you do within your environment to, increase your safety, your comfortability. Assessing threat and what is reasonable force. That's a really important one, right? If somebody is, chatting with me or something like that, and I'm uncomfortable with that, my first step isn't going to be some physical force, right? So just being aware of like, what are the steps? What are potential escalations? Noticing your resources, assessing resources. So who's around you? Like if you were on a bus or something, the bus driver is your friend. What stores can you go into? What people can you talk to? Just noticing your environment in that way. And then the final step in this kind of initial, if there is a situation, your situational awareness, is to take advantage of the environment or leave, right? Especially if it's like a crowded bar or something, like you can use the crowd to your advantage and slip away. And something I want to add here is set any ego aside, right? Your safety and your comfort is the most important thing, not teaching the other person a lesson. Sometimes leaving and backing away and disengaging is the safest thing to do, even if, from an ego standpoint, that's not what you want to do. So just kind of, that's where that non-judgmental curiosity comes in of like, just what is the safest thing for me versus, trying to teach people. So hopefully they'll learn. Okay, step 3, if it continues, right, would be the self-defense flashpoint. So this is where you have engaged with somebody and we're into our self-defense practices. So make things difficult for the other person, right? Make it not worth their while and their energy. So you can change the dynamic, change your position, get free. This is kind of where we talked about being relentless and with the circular motion, right? Changing the dynamic can also be kind of a de-escalation, getting really calm, inviting them into that calm environment, or it can be the other way. So change the dynamic, disrupt, change your position, get free. Second piece of this would be to eliminate threats. So that threat may be a person, but it's more about kind of the continued danger of the situation. So maybe that looks like, if you had that person in the football hold that we practiced, moving them out of the establishment. Maybe that looks like you removing yourself from the dangerous situation or environment that you're in. So again, it depends. And then the third piece of this is find a quick way back to safety, right? So that's running, leaving the situation, checking back into your body, noticing what your senses are telling you, getting help, seeing who is your community in that moment, and then potentially recollecting yourself and preparing to maybe have to do some of these steps again. And then the final step in this self-protection process, so this would be after something has happened, is healing and recalibrating, regrouping. So first we have to get to safety. We can't heal if we're not in a safe environment. Check yourself for any physical injuries, seek medical help if necessary. Check yourself for, emotional trauma, mental stuff, and make sure that you seek out support for that as well. Record, write down, review what happened, whether that's doing a voice memo to yourself, texting a friend what happened, and consider reporting. And this is something that I would encourage you when you are considering reporting to discuss with your community and your friends, because a lot of times we don't want to report. And sometimes we need that encouragement from our friends to be like, no, this wasn't okay. Like, you should really report this. So it's okay to have support in that way. Connect to the community, right? Helplines, doctors, supportive family or friends, possibly law enforcement. And then of course, this is your community as well. And then engage in whatever nervous system regulation, wellness practices you've chosen to help regroup once you're safe. So this could be breathing, meditating. This could also be screaming. This could be taking a shower, visualizing, washing stuff away. This can be, going to the gym, whatever it is, just finding your way back to yourself. I don't know if you've seen, there's this video of like an antelope or something that escaped a cheetah or something like that. And it's like, but then you can see it's breathing and it does this really interesting breathing pattern. That's pretty intense breathing pattern. And then it just gets up and walks away. So that's the sort of thing that animals have to do too, right? Is re-regulate and then they can go on. And then continue to engage in these wellness and self-protection practices, the proactive ones, right? Helping you stay aware, curious, ready. So all the breathing practices we've done, moving, learning, all of that is going to help you. And then a couple phrases that we've all kind of come up with as little themes for this class. One, clarity is kindness with yourself and with others, right? So setting boundaries, saying what you're comfortable with, being clear, that is kind, not only to yourself, but to other people. And then another phrase, aware, prepare, confident, and relentless. Yeah, aware, prepare, confident, and relentless. So those are some kind of intention, words, phrases you can keep in mind in the context of this class.